I'm having tree work done. Can you guys hear that? They were supposed to do this yesterday, but my neighbor's car was in the way. So they're doing it today. So I'm going to try to get through this as much as possible. But it's nothing different than what you guys are used to when we did our lives on the slaughtered lamb. Cars going through, honking their horn, flipping me off, neighbors mowing their grass. But this is something that has to get done. This tree has to be cut down. You know why? Because it's a dead ash tree. Ash, not ass. Well, that too. Ash tree that's hanging over my lines that are electricity lines. So it has to be done. So just like you're going to have to sit through it. Just like me, I mean, you're going to have to sit through it. It's not too annoying because now they're getting out to the big trunk. But the thing is, though, the tree splits. So two big trunks are going up. I think they're almost done. So, yeah, right, Michael. Talk loudly. How is everybody doing today? I'm glad that you can join me today on this live episode. Get through that. We're just gonna swallow whatever, deal with it, swallow our pride, swallow our madness, and just ignore it. Okay. So first, again, grubby little hands. We'll get through it. Again, thank you for joining me today for the first for this probably an hour or so. I think they're almost done. So let's get through this. Okay. Grubby little hands. I picked up some comic books, and then I also got something from horror related from a company. Let This One Be the Devil, part 2. From DC, Resurrection Man. There you go. That seems pretty cool. Now, this one's called I Was a Fashion School Serial Killer. I was a fashion school serial killer. Saying that 10 times fast. And pretty cool cover, reminiscent of the Janet Jackson poster and her album cover. Pretty cool. The last of Cruel Kingdom, 4 of 4. It's over with. Plague House. Pretty good so far. Good read. Pastime about baseball and ghosts. Let's continue. Hello, Darkness, number 9. I like anthology books. I like them. Continuing with the Terminator this is the history of the T-600, which you guys have seen, or actually Kyle Reese talked about in the first one, how their skin was made out of rubber and they were easily identifiable. This is the history of them. This I was waiting for the longest time, and I finally found it. The Incredible Hulk 172, which is the first team up of Hulk and Juggernaut. Very old comic book. I think I'm going to get that cleaned up and pressed and graded. And then Absolute Superman. If you guys seen the poll, please fill it out. It's on the Facebook for Slaughter Lamb and also on our YouTube post. Thank you, Darren, very much for putting that up. And 2 more, The Lucky Devils, number 3, and a one-shot called Freddy the Fix. God, I almost poked my damn eye out. Freddy the Fix, which is also kind of like Dylan Dog. Was monsters and everything, and he's looking for a serial killer with monsters and zombies that are living amongst us, and we're okay with that. All right. Reading's over with. And let's do this. Got something in the mail from a company called Toy Snobs. You might have heard of them. They produced kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gimmicks and everything like that. So I've been waiting for this for a long time as I pre-cut it and opened it up. But let's take a look. Let's throw this box away. So I didn't realize I got all of them. I was looking just for one particular item, and they got they sent me multiples, and which I think I bought multiples, and I was just like, oh, what the hell? You guys ever done that? Have you ever done that? Shut up, Darren. Yeah, that's him, all right. Yeah, that's him. And then, so here's a sticker from Toy Snobs. Of course, you can see the little Ninja Turtle Skeletor there. But let's take a look. If I have multiples of these, I will see if we can give them out on the Slaughtered Lamb. Let's see. Okay, so they take these cards. They're pretty nice and in plastic, hard plastic. But they take like Leonardo DiCaprio, Leo, and made him into Leatherface. Nice little prism action going on, right? You know, and they tell a little synopsis of them. So that's Leo as Leatherface, Donnie Kruger. That's pretty cool. That's the back as well. Let's see, Ralph Voorhees or Raph Voorhees. Has 1984 up there with the year the Turtles came out. Mikey Myers. That's the one I wanted. But I bought the whole collection anyway. Let's read about Michael really quick since we're all Halloween fans here. So on a scale from 1 to 7, his strength is 7. Speed is about 4. Stamina is about 6. Durability is about 4. Intelligence is about 3. Weapon, chef's knife. Birthplace, Haddonfield. Height 5'5". Age 67. And weight 145 kilograms. The story of Mikey Myers begins on Halloween night in Haddonfield. He's considered to be the embodiment of pure evil. Mikey Myers is so frightening because he can't be taken down. Then they got these little tiny little. I gotta get my kids to read this because I can't fucking see anymore. Mikey Myers normally doesn't speak because he is the embodiment of evil. He's more like a zombie than actual turtle, and gives him the ability to speak would take away from his perfect horror facade. Whatever. Now I got eye strain. Look, guys, I got 2 extras, so maybe we'll do something with these. They're for you guys. So we'll see what Darren and I want to do. Put them back in the box because, as you know, my kids would like to play with these. I don't know how they're going to break it open, but they will. They'll probably step on it or stab it. And I dropped the sticker, damn it. Oh, God. Okay. All right, that is done. Oh, also, I go to my local toy store called Pandora's Box, and they sell a whole bunch of vintage toys and everything like that. But so if you guys, I don't know why I'm bending over, but up here, these two, there's this one right here and this one right here. You could probably see it barely, but those are the original NECA figures. No box. I didn't care. I just wanted them for a display. Queen Alien and the Crow, Eric Draven, Brandon Lee version. You can see his white face up there. No, it's not Sting. So yeah, it's right there. So what I think about doing is I'm thinking about taking this poster down, this Halloween poster, and I'm thinking about putting shelves here and maybe putting some action figures up there. I don't know. Okay. John Jones says those turtle cards are awesome. I've had the Universal Monster Turtle figures as a kid, and it's a nice update. I love these in figure form. Yeah, they made them in figure form, the turtle ones, right? The Toy Snobs did, and you can't get them anymore. They're all out. John Jones says, Frank, your one live about the movie songs you mentioned, Superman Lives. If you hadn't seen it, the documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, what happened? It's fascinating and parts hilarious. I don't think I've seen that. I don't think I've seen that. Field of Screams, what's going on, buddy? I went into a comic book shop for the first time ever about a week ago. Ended up getting the Creep Show book. Was kind of rushed because I bought my 4-year-old and he wanted to play with everything. Yes, they do. That's right, Evil Alex. The T600 was in Salvation. And of course, as you remember, first mentioned by Kyle Reese. Let's see. Everyone's saying hello, hello. Grab a bullhorn, says Nick. Shamrock says sounds better than Darren. Oh, let's get that out of there. Okay. And of course, Michael, damn it, it's hell getting old. Yes, it is. John Jones says, please check out Ultimate Wolverine, mind control and being used as the Winter Soldier red suit too. It's amazing. I'm going to have to check it. I'm not really into too much Marvel stuff anymore. Unless it's with Juggernaut and certain characters. I used to be a fan of Wolverine, not too much anymore. Now, if I see any of the first series of him or any vintage comic books that are for good price, like at flea markets or garage sales, I pick them up because usually those people don't know how much they are worth. Jordan, hey, from Brussels. How you doing? What are you doing over there? Get it. All right. Are you guys ready to do this? Here we go. Let's start this. Now I had to move stuff around in this. So today we are talking about, well, let me bring it up. We're talking about movies that should be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. This is going through the 90s. So I had to move myself around because I wanted to make sure I get some critics reviews of this movie, little blurbs to see why these movies came down in rating. Sometimes if you only see like 2 examples that I put up, it's because they just left a splatter. So they didn't write anything to back up their claim. And hey, love. So I also, if it had a percentage that was below 100 and you see a big splatter picture, that means that's all you can't find any comments, and all it is just splatters. So again, I don't get it. We have to, if you're going to give a splatter or you're going to give a critique about it, and if you just say you don't like it, well, tell me why. I like to, especially from critics, because they think they're up each other's freaking asses anyway with their opinions, that they could smell their breath from the backside. So, I mean, I don't take criticism well because if you go into somebody's shoes and then feel the way they feel, then it's different, but we can't do that. So if I go see a movie and I tell you guys I like it and you're going to say why, I could say, well, the kills, or, I like the characters. They could say, well, how? I said, I don't know. I just like it. Okay. Just leave me alone. Go away. Go eat your peanut butter and jelly and leave me alone. That's why I always say, if you read or watch any people who are critiquing or reviewing a movie, like in my last episode, a couple episodes ago, where I say, don't listen to the critics, it's because none of their opinions matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Most people want to know what I think of something. I will tell it. And the only opinions that do matter are if you're buying a car or going out to a restaurant. Because like I said, you need a reliable source of transportation for years to come. And the restaurant, you're going to need to know whether or not the service is good and the food is good if you're going to wind up spending money. So whatever. I mean, you're going to see a movie once, and getting somebody's critique over their half hour that they're going to explain that movie is not vital. It doesn't help out your opinion. So just don't, whatever. Uh, that's right, Joshua. Like Christopher Nelson says, just shut up and eat your damn popcorn. Like I plan on going to go see Drop this weekend, probably Friday, early showing, and a lot of people are saying they like it. They said it's an okay date movie. Well, I don't have a date. My date's not with me. My date's working. So, and plus she says she doesn't really want to see it anyway because whatever, she wasn't interested in it. Okay, so I'll go see it. Well, why does it have to be a good date movie? I mean, I mean, I don't get it. When people say it's a good date movie, it doesn't make any sense to me. Can't any movie be a good date movie? I'll tell you guys a little fact about me and my wife. When we were dating, the first movie we saw together, just because we on the first date we had enough time, we went out to dinner, and I said, "What else do you want to do? Do you want to go see a movie?" She said yes, and we saw Secretariat. With Diane Lane, and that's not a date movie. That's not a date movie, but we saw it anyway. So anyone who says these movies are date movies, what constitutes as a date movie? People who are couples, people who are out on a date, a love story. I mean, why can't horror be a date movie? I mean, what constitutes as a freaking date movie? It's just whatever. All right, let's get on with this. Now I'm getting in a rant. That's stupid. All right, movies that should be 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, the 90s. Yeah, right, Evil Alex. Hostel. Now that's a date movie, right? Exactly. I mean, anything could be a date movie. I see more couples going into horror movies than I see into action movies or a Disney movie. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Matt. At least I appreciate it. How long is the movie? My date charges by the hour. Well, if you get bored, you know what you could do within that hour and a half, right? Oh, how about this? Uh, you know, it, thanks. Thanks. Oh, that was the movie I saw with you? Thought it was with somebody else. Yeah, I closed my eyes and wished the same thing. I mean, exactly, Shamrock. Horror is the best date movie. First, for Beach Dad, first movie me and my wife seen together was 40 Days of Night. Was it 30 days? 40 days a night? 30 days? 30 days, right? 30 days? 40 days? Whatever. They were in Alaska. It's night all the time. That's right, Shamrock, because the girl gets closer to you, and use your heads, people. Use your heads, people. Unless she jumps over to the next person, then you can say, "Well, I'm getting my free refill without you." All right, let's continue. Let's do this. All right, first movie. So, Misery is 91%, coming out in 1990. And we have Vince Gamby says Misery is a blunt instrument that fractures the kneecaps more often than tickles the funny bone. And then Rita over here from the Washington Post says a weak handshake of a movie. It is slightly repellent, hardly gripping, much less knuckle whiting. I don't know about that. I think Misery. Do you guys think Misery deserves 100% on Rotten Tomatoes? I think 91 is actually a pretty good score. But when someone's saying it's hardly gripping, much less knuckle whitening, I mean, they're when he was being hobbled. I mean, I was squeezing the chair, or squeezing the couch, or squeezing the chair in front of me and seeing it in the theater. So I don't understand. This guy or Rita must be, not easily frightened, and just doesn't like suspense or anything like that. And Vincent fractures the kneecaps more often than it tickles the funny bone. I mean, is this supposed to be a comedy? I mean, Evil Alex, I agree with you. The hell are those reviews? They're actual top critics, major publications about these movies. They get paid. They get paid to write and spew their bullshit. I mean, these are the same people that would go to a steakhouse, get a nice steak, a $50 steak, get all the fixings and everything, all the sides with it. And then they say, food was good, but I didn't like the ambiance. I didn't like the colors of the tablecloth. Fuck that. I want to know if this is gonna be worth a $50 meal. And if it's the best steak I ever had, who cares if there's enough freaking colors lit up or candles lit or the tablecloth is a certain color? Who cares? I'm probably gonna use the tablecloth to wipe my mouth anyway. It's so good. These are the same meffers. Andrew says Misery is good, but 100% no. Shamrock says, I love Misery, love the book too, but 91 is fair. In my opinion, there's a few movies should be 100%. Dark Knight, Shawshank are not one of them either. And then Janine, hey Janine, what's up? Says, yeah, it does. It does. It should be 100%. Misery's fine where it's at, but 100% no. I'll argue Back to the Future should be 100%. Evil Alex is definitely one of the best horror thrillers. I won't judge anybody saying it's 100 for them. Yeah, I mean, it could be. If you think it's 100%, the majority of the people are agreeing with you that it should be at least 91%. 2 people out of whatever. I mean, that's the ones I could find right away. So I didn't scour the internet looking for somebody's opinion on joeschmo.com. Either the joeschmo.com is a reliable source. Okay, next one. 91%. Yeah, I give it that. Okay, now let's see. Continuing with 1990, I believe. So if I skip a few movies during this decade, it's because they were close to being around 60 or 70. So anything that was close to 80 and above, I put in. I left those middle guys out. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. All right, here we go. Next one from 1990, Tremors. Love Tremors. 88%. So Variety says Tremors has a few clever twists, but ultimately can't decide what it wants to be. Flat out funny, which it's not, or a scare fest. Now, there are some parts of Tremors that are quite funny. And it's a bright lit movie. Its antics are hilarious, the between Fred and Kevin. So I don't see, it doesn't have to be all out funny. It doesn't have to be either a scare fest. Look at American Werewolf in London. There's parts that are funny and there's parts that are scary. Why can't you be both? So this magazine has sucked ever since it was first being published. So F you. Adam Stevens says, I love Tremors, but am shocked it's that high. I'm surprised it's even higher than that. I'm surprised it's even higher than 80%. Shamrock says, love Tremors, but again, that's fair. Maybe even a little high. Oh, God, you guys are really getting tough on this Tremors. What's your opinion, right? Vincent says, more than anything else, it looks like the sort of movie that might have been put together so that Toros visit Universal Studios could see a movie being made. You know what? I have to agree with that. This could have been a great ride at Universal Studios. I don't think Universal did they produce this? I don't know. Or distribute it at least. But Tremors has gone on to spawn several sequels. And I actually think 88%. You know what? Now that come to thinking about it, guys, I might be a little generous. It might be a little generous. And like you guys said, it's 80%. It should be around the 80%, given, you know what? Fine. Just leave it where it is. Chester says Tremor should be 100. If you like the movie, Chester, that much, it should be 100. And let it be 100 in your eyes. Let it be. Evil Alex says, I actually don't mind all the Tremor films, but part 1 is definitely the best. I agree with you. I think once Kevin Bacon left and Fred took over, it was okay. Part 2 was okay. And then what's his name took over? Bert. And then he became even Bert was his ancestor was fighting these graboids. It's just it did get old, fairly quickly. Okay, let's continue. I think we got 1990. Let's see what year it is next. Darkman, 83%. Darkman sustains mild interest throughout, but it never takes off, partly because a real estate scam, gangland shootouts, city corruption, and a love story clutter up the sad story of Westlake's strange mutation. Is it a mutation? Or did he just get really physically burned with chemicals around him? Well, then I guess that would be considered a mutation. 83%. I don't have a problem. I think this score is a little too high. It's a little wonky in areas. So I think Shamrock, I think you would actually. No, I don't think you'll like Darkman. Liam Neeson, Sam Raimi. Ted's also in it with what's his name? Drake. Was it Fred Drake? What's his name? Dr. Giggles. Help me out here. Let me look that up really quick. Larry Drake. Yep. Nick says Darkman's got such a cool poster. Just love it. And this, you know what? The part 2 and part 3 aren't too bad. So Andrew says 70% would have been better. You know what? I'm going to agree with you. It should be in the 70s. 83% is quite high. Yeah, your Liam's in it. Your Frank Drebin is in it. Junior. I think Darkman is one of those that could have been made into a pretty decent TV series. Liam Neeson did play a great Westlake. And then, of course, it morphed into a comic book. It's fun. I think Darkman's fun. Larry Drake did a good villain. I mean, he's a pretty good villain in anything he does, or did, because he's dead. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say it should be a little bit lower. Okay, let's continue. So Arachnophobia has 93%. And the ones, this is what I was talking about before, and the ones that gave like a negative review or didn't like the movie, just put a splatter. That's probably Rotten Tomatoes that did that, and everything. But I had nothing to go on. I didn't know why a lot of people or a few people that didn't like it or found problems with it. But 93%, I think, is too high for Arachnophobia. And we're still waiting for the remake, right? Or a sequel, whatever is supposed to come out. I think there's some pacing issues. I think John Goodman kind of pulls the movie down a little bit. It's not a bad movie. I think Darren and I did the best and worst of Arachnophobia. And for those who don't like spiders, it's not going to be your movie. I think they did some great makeup effects. I think Stan Winston was involved with Arachnophobia. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's too high. And Nick, I think you agree with me, right? And Arachnophobia's score is too high. 75 to 80 is where I put it. I agree with you. 93%. 93% is a little high. Oh, I love arachnophobia. I'll take the 93%, maybe a tad high. I remember when the movie came out, it didn't get rave reviews. It's Jaws with spiders. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody went because they put John Goodman in the trailer so much, and he was on a high, getting Emmy awards for Roseanne. So you thought you were going to see a lot of him in it, and he's only in a few scenes because he probably cost a lot of money too. And the late Julian Sands is in it as well. Let's see, Evil Access, for me, it's definitely the best spider horror film. So around 80, 90, I would agree. Hey, Flat, what's going on? Shamrock says the big spider was called Bob after Robert Zemeckis. Yep. 87 is a decent score. Yeah. I would put this in the low 80s. Put this in the low 80s. There is pacing issues. There is some character flaws in it. And there's some situations where I don't think are realistic, but then I always forget that the common house spider mated with a Amazonian, mated with an Amazon spider species that wasn't discovered, and it was very hard to kill. So yeah, I think he should. Hey, Jet, what's going on? So I think that's a little high. All right, let's continue. All right, 1991, Silence of the Lambs. Now let's get into some fun here. 95%. I think criminally underrated at 95%. This, if you guys should agree with me, this should be at 100%. But let's look at what people are saying. A failure that is a function of its success. The Silence of the Lambs is an unsatisfying movie on the most basic level of all, the story. It is a sad, broken backed. It is sadly broken backed. An accomplished, effective, grisly, and exceptionally sick slasher film that I can't with any conscience recommend. Now, this one from Gene Siskel. Gene hated this movie. Hated this movie. Thanks, guys. Hated this movie. And here's why. Foster's character, who is appealing, is dwarfed by the monsters she is after. I'd rather see her work on another case. Okay. You guys are flying here. Now you guys are flying here. All right, let's take a look. It says, Nick says, this needs to be at 100%. Now we're in the 100% zone from Jordan. Andrew Stevens says, it's a fair number. Okay. Kyle says, it should be 100%. Shamrock says, I like Silence of the Lambs, but I actually think this movie is overrated. 95% is too high. 90 at best. Oh, wow. Cody Snyder, what's up, Cody? What? I love Silence of the Lambs. Definitely should be in 100%. Great movie. Hey, Pat, what's going on, buddy? This is 100% movie for sure. Anthony Hopkins is amazing. And don't forget, he had 2 Oscar winners in this movie. The fuck are those reviews? This movie is fantastic. Yep. And what other non-porno movie do you get to see a chick? Oh my God, Jordan! It's actually part of the movie. It is. You can't don't ding me on that because it is. It's part of the movie. Matthew says, if I only had to put 10 movies at 100%, I'd put this on that list. It's true. I think when we get to another movie, there's a lot of times, I should rephrase it this way. There is a lot of times where, including with the recent movies, and I think Long Legs was one of them, people are always comparing, cat and mouse movies, slasher type movies, uh, cops going after serial killers. They're always comparing them to Silence of the Lambs. Now, if you are being compared to a movie all the time, shouldn't that movie be at 100%? The one it's being compared to? Let me know. I think it is true. I think this should be at 100%. If you can take a movie and watch it constantly on loop, or take a movie and if it comes on regular cable or is in your playlist or is being talked about, or if there's new footage of it and you're always constantly watching it, I think it should be 100. I think if you believe that this movie should be 100, please let me know. I think it is. Evil Alex right here says, I would say 90 to 95% is correct, although I couldn't tell you what I would be missing for that 100. I just don't think any film is 100. You know what, Evil Alex? I kind of agree with you. Let's think for a moment. If a movie makes you feel so good, makes you feel entertained, and makes you watch it constantly, then put it at 100%. Even with the flaws you can look past. For us, Halloween, the original, is 100%. We know there are flaws, but we can look past them. It's like our kids. We know our kids, for some people, our kids may not be the most beautiful things and the most precious things in the world. But for me, my kids are 100%. They're always going to be cute. I'm always going to love them. And anyone who says, oh, yeah, your child's about a 95. If any bastard ever says that to me, I'm going to say, what gives you the right? What gives you the right to find 5% wrong in a child, especially my child? Because it's not. Movies are like children, right? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's pretty harsh, though, Frank, isn't it? Not liking a kid. That should be, that should be our new channel, right? Silence of the Slaughtered Lambs. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a page of nothing. Silence of the Lambs is 100 from Adam. Manhunter is better, so is the book. I liked Manhunters with Brian Cox. Liked it. But however, I couldn't get past a lot of scenarios. But maybe we'll talk about that another time. Evil Alex says Longlegs is good, but not even near Silence of the Lambs. I agree, but you know how they say you got to compare it to that? We got to stop comparing stuff. Beach Dad says, how many times have you heard Hello Clarice in other movies? Cult classic. There was a movie that was on today that I heard that from Beach Dad. It was Cable Guy. Remember where they were at medieval times and he took the chicken skin, put it on? And also National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, where they're going to a F. Murray Abraham's cell who plays like a Lecter type person. And he goes, chicken, tastes like chicken. I don't get what's so good about Silence of the Lambs. It's a thriller. I've seen 1,000 thrillers. Yeah, Rock. God damn it. 100% movie. Psycho, The Godfather 1 and 2, Jaws. Psycho, yes. Godfather 1 and 2. I don't even like Godfather movies. Shoot me. I understand, the significance in the movies and in the series. Jaws is definitely at 100%. Cody Snyder, your child's about a 95. I find 70, 85% wrong in most kids. Damn. Frank doesn't like one of his kids. Confirmed. No. I was talking about someone else's kids. Come on, Michael. Okay. Let's continue. I think we're mostly, if I put a poll up, the consensus would be that Silence of the Lambs should be 100%. All right. 1992. That was the only movie that was close to being 100%. Everything else in 1991 was about 60. It was about between 50 and 70%. So that's the only movie in 1991 that I put. Okay, Candyman from 1992 at 79%. To pull it off would make the utmost artistry and imagination, but writer-director Bernard Rose expands his energy mainly on the easier task of churning up violence and gore for its own sake. Okay, it is written by Clive Barker, Kevin. Okay, Jonathan here from the Chicago Reader says, like so many post-Val Lewton horror movies, this 1992 feature starts out promisingly while the plot is so mainly a matter of suggestion, but gradually turns gross and obvious as the meanings become literal and unambiguous. Okay. And then Mark here from the Austin Chronicle says, Director Rose seems not to know what to show next. And whether this is an effort to keep his audience guessing or not, it only ends up making what could have been an exceptionally disturbing film exceptionally annoying. God bless you, Tony Todd. Now, I think 79% is actually quite low. Quite low. I think it should be like around 80 something. It started a new slasher. So you got to give it that. Let's see what you guys are saying. Brett Patrick, Virginia Madsen. Remember Madsen? Oh my God. Let's take another look here. Shamrock says Candyman, another overrated movie, not scary. 79% is too high. Helen, Helen, be my victim. Sound like Wishmaster there for a moment. Be my victim. Make your wish. Andrew Stevens says, sue me. I didn't care much for Candyman. And then John says, Candyman was amazing. Hey, Spidey fan, what's going on? Evil Alex says, I love Candyman. It's a 90 for me, at least. 79 is insulting. And Chester says Candyman should be in the 80s, not 79. I'm thinking I'm agreeing with Chester here. I think this should be in the 80s, somewhere mid 80s. Thanks, guys. I think it should be. Yeah, it should. I'm thinking of the movie now back in my head. And did you know for the longest time, NECA produced the only Candyman figure for about 20-something odd years until, Scream Greats came out and other figures just recently. So, yeah. Is the character of Candyman original? No. But it's I don't know. Brett Patrick, this movie makes Chicago better than it is. Do you know where that was filmed, Brett? Did you see is the finale? Is that area still there? That park at the end? Let's see. Beach Dad says a little low in my view, a solid 88 to 90. I love the backstory. What do you guys think of the remake? Well, is it a remake or is it kind of a prequel? I don't know. I think, yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, you're right, McFarlane. Thanks, Brett. McFarlane did do it. Yeah, McFarlane did do it. Thank you. I don't know why I keep on bringing up NECA. McFarlane is now doing more comic book figures now. I remember his Spawn figures and everything like that. I can get them in the store up the road a little bit. That's where I got those two up there. Yeah, I think this is pretty low. Some people say it's too high. I think we're going to argue about this a little bit compared to any other movies on here. All right. Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, at 89%. So Stephen Holden here from the New York Times says, because of all of this looks blatantly unreal, and because the timing of the shock effects is so haphazard, Dead Alive isn't especially scary or repulsive, nor is it very funny. Stephen, I don't know what movie you are seeing or saw or watched. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, is not funny. It's not repulsive. Are you? The lady got, a dog got eaten. There is some comedy here. Whoever saw a zombie baby being born, and Lionel having to take it to the park, wrapped up in barbed wire around the carriage. This is the only movie when I was dating my wife. I should say when I was dating her. She wasn't my wife when we were dating. That she had me turn off within the first 20 minutes because it was repulsive. There's so much bodily fluid in this movie. It does rank as the grossest movie of all time. This can't be, Andrew, watch this. You can. It's a great zombie type movie. Yeah, I know Brett and Pat. I know you guys love this movie, and Brett has a little, Sumatra rat monkey. I mean, it's. I don't know. Even Evil Alex says here, both one of the most brutal and funniest horror movies. It is. I don't. There's an issue here when somebody says it's not scary. Okay, I understand it's really not scary, but having a kung fu priest kicking zombies' asses, saying "I kick ass for the Lord," and this is one of the movies that Darren and I are always complaining that Peter Jackson needs to get off his ass, stop making documentaries, and produce this movie at least, or not remake it, but reissue it back into 4K. And he's not doing it because he's making movies and documentaries about Beatles and Led Zeppelin and The Who and David Bowie and the War of 1812. It's just like Evil Alex. I kick ass for the Lord. Beach Dad, you go get it, buddy. Get it. I don't think it's hard to find. Let's see, Dead Alive DVD. I got the DVD. They do make the Blu-ray, but it's like $25, $30, and that's for import. Even the regular DVD, the unrated version, is going for like $20. And for a DVD, that's actually quite a lot. I mean, just release some of this stuff already, okay? Peter, you have so much stuff. You have so much stuff on this movie. Brett Patrick says, "Yeah, I love the film. Needs a 4K release." Then and then the priest becomes a horny zombie. That's right, because he dies too. I don't want to ruin it for a lot of people who haven't seen it. But 100%, 100 for the Lawnmower Massacre. That Lawnmower Massacre is the funniest thing, the bloodiest thing, the goriest thing you'll ever see in a movie. Because what they're doing is they're taking and they're throwing just stuff. The production team is just throwing stuff at the actors. They were gooped for days. It has to be. Really evil. The film is still on the naughty list in Germany. I don't know about UK. Should ask Aaron. I don't think it is. There's no naughty list anymore, I don't think, in the UK. Brett Patrick says, love Dead Alive. Needs a 4K on this. And then the priest becomes a horny zombie. Erger Rollinson says, is that the price with a tariff added? Probably not. It's already for sale here. It's already for sale on eBay. There's no tariff. So let's not get into that. Yeah, John Jones, please check it out. And then come back and let me know. This is one of the best, funniest zombie movies you will ever see. You would have to take, if you like Shaun of the Dead, this takes Shaun of the Dead into a whole different level. And this is where Peter Jackson and his crew and his team that he's been with for so many years, this Oscar-winning team, was in their prime. They've actually, with this movie, had become a reputable company. You know, this is better than Bad Taste, definitely when it comes to the effects. Okay, let's continue here. We got six more slides. So that's 1992. What do you guys think? Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, for those who've seen 100%. Give me an amen. Yep, 100% for me, at least. Just I have so much fun with this. Plus, it makes, if anything, that makes my wife get grossed out. Real nice, as Cousin Eddie would say. All right, 1994. 1993 did not have any movies that were near 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. So we're starting with 1994. 87% for The Crow. This movie is haunted by a reworked script that may be weighted down by Lee's memory, making it a bit of a morality play and a little Fox sentimental. If The Crow is let me start that again. From Owen from the Entertainment Weekly. If The Crow is forgettable entertainment, it can stand as an eerie epitaph for an actor who looked like he was on the way to better things. Okay, David from Newsweek says it succeeds in bringing Obar's comic book vision to life, but there's little else going on behind the graphic razzle dazzle and the mood ominous soundtrack. I don't know, guys. The soundtrack is fantastic. The soundtrack is great. 87% for The Crow. So, Shamrock, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I'm thinking we're taking Brandon Lee's memory and we're going to say it's 100% just because of him being in it. I don't think that should be true. We're just going to be basing it on the movie, not for Brandon and what happened tragically on set. 87%, a bit high. The Crow is RoboCop for goths. I think the 4K of this, when the new movie was coming out, didn't the 4K like sell out really quick? And you can't find it anywhere. And if you want to go on eBay or other sites, you're paying like $60, $70 for it. And everyone's just like, F you. You know, and these 4Ks really don't come out with anything new. I found out, going off on a tangent here, that the new Tombstone 4K that is coming out, it doesn't have a lot of the stuff that the Vista series, the DVD, came out with. It doesn't have the director's cut, the extra 5 minutes, and also it doesn't have a commentary from Kurt Russell, which I don't think the original DVD had anyway, but there's missing stuff. But yet we got the making of featurette. There's some other stuff in there that are still on the DVD. That's the one thing I hate about getting 4Ks, that if you're going to get a 4K, give me something new. Don't take away. But of course, it could be an all licensing thing. I don't know. But still, I might as well just stick with the Blu-ray and the DVD for the extras. But Andrew Steven says, I'm going to be a hater, 82%. You know, I might be a hater with you. I think I'm going to go 75 to 80, depending on my mood. Definitely not 100%. Beach Dad says, I love this movie. I smell gasoline. He died way too young. Would have been one of the greats. Yeah, I think he would have done a lot. Would this movie have taken off if he didn't die? I don't know. Time is still trying to tell on that. I mean, when I think of The Crow, I automatically think of Brandon Lee and the way he passed away. I don't know. It's just we can't help but do that. Evil Ox says, I find 4K overrated. HD Blu-ray is enough for me. Plus, you get more bonus stuff. I'm starting to agree with you, Evil. I am starting to agree with you, Evil. Shamrock says, I heard that about Tombstone, Frank, so I've kept my director's cut DVD. Keep it. Keep it, Shamrock. It's worth a lot more money, especially to you if you like all that extra stuff. I think some of it actually comes with news clippings and the history behind the shootout, the OK Corral. Keep that, and I think they have the making of on it already. But yeah, 87% I think is a little too high. I think we're all agreeing with it that this is too high. Okay, let's continue here. Was there anything left in 94? I forgot already. Is there? Nope. Okay. Mute Witness is at 85%. And again, there's no reviews, just splatters, just negative. Shamrock says, I agree, Frank. I think it's the same with The Dark Knight, but it's a debate for another day. Yep. PCAT, what's going on? I got high there for a minute. Knowing Lee died makes this is why held off for a long time before watching. My dad tried to take my old DVD, and I said, no. Mine. So, Mute Witness, a movie I haven't seen in a long, long time. Now, you guys are going to have to help me out here and jog my memory. Is this an 85% movie? I even forgot the plot. Let me see. The plot allows a mute American makeup artist working on a slasher film in Moscow who is pursued by a crime organization making and dealing snuff films. Oh, okay. Now she witnesses a brutal murder. Okay. Yep. Now I remember. Evox says never heard of this. What the hell is this movie? Says Andrew. PCAT said, I did enjoy it though. Okay. It's just, I think you were talking about The Crow, right? Mute Witness. I don't know much about it. I know a lot of people rave about it, the ones who have seen it. Again, Ryan says he never heard of it either. Ryan says they never heard of it either. So yeah, I mean, never heard of this one. I think Dave knows about it. Darren definitely knows about it. I have to check it out. Because what is the movie? What is the movie where the lady's blind? She's a violinist, and she hears a murder but doesn't see anybody, and then she gets an eye transplant, optical transplant, and the killer comes after her. I think Anthony Quinn is in it, young Anthony Quinn. Yeah, Darren says this is a great movie. Is this like see no evil, hear no evil? I don't know. Got to go get the kids, Frank. Enjoy it. I know how that is. The mine are coming in about a half hour. Thanks, Beach Dad. A great slasher, a great 90s slasher, one of Alec Guinness's last films. Okay. Andrew. Dave likes it because it's elevated. Mute Witness is great, says my chunky Jordy. The Eye. Thank you, Cody. I think The Eye is actually a pretty good one. So this is kind of like in the same scope of it. I've seen this once, and for the life of me, I'm trying to remember it. It's like Hush with chainsaws. Blank. No, it's not Blank. It's The Eye. Is it The Eye? No. getting confused. Horror movie, blind. Blink? Blink. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks, Cody. Cody's like, the eye? Like, no. I don't know what it is. It's like Hush with Chainsaws. Missed this one, too. How long is it? 2 hours, 3 hours? Yeah, the eyes with Jessica Alba. So it's Blink. Yep, Blink. Yeah, so 85%. I'm gonna have to watch this tonight, Darren. Again, I remember it, but I just it's one of those things that I wasn't. Maybe I was too young to care because I would have been 14. No, I should have cared. If I cared enough about the other movies ahead of it, why not in this group? All right, 95. Continuing, 7 is at a 91%. So get some of these quotes here from these critics. A director who seems to feel undisguised envy for the Silence of the Lambs, but it will end up inspiring wrath through overblown pride in his own intrusive touch. Again, a movie that's being compared to Silence of the Lambs. Jamie says there's none of the humor that takes the sting out of slasher movies, and certainly none of the psychology and depth that made The Silence of the Lambs such an intellectual thriller. This is why I said Silence of the Lambs should be at 100% because people are comparing it to that movie. This movie is especially. And then Newsweek over here, so chic, studied and murky, and it resembles a cross between a Nike commercial and a bad Polish art film. Are you kidding me? Now, there was also a few comments I was going to put in here, but I didn't want to, cloud up a whole bunch, that they said this movie was going to end Brad Pitt's career and not make him anything special. Now we're coming on 20 years later. Actually, no, it'll be 30 years. 30 years later. And what is he doing? He's making great movies. Eli Alex says, I would agree around 90 with 7. Classic thriller. I think this gets 100% for me. Adam Stevens. If Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder were in it, that shoots it to 100%. And Dean Renner, hey, Dean, says, I can't stand critics. 91%. 91. Jordan Decker says, certainly not the worst thing that Kevin Spacey has done. He stood up for the ending for this movie, Freeman 2. As like they said, the director seems to feel undisguised envy. This guy, he's gone on to make great movies. 7 is a fantastic film. Watch the IMAX re-release. It's gritty. It's grimy. It is great. It is great. I don't understand. 100%. I do have some problems with it. The ending, of course, is iconic. How many times are people saying, what's in the box? What's in the box? Just like, hello, Cares. So nice to see you again. So Andrew Stevens says 7 between 90 and 94. I think oh, okay. I meant Brad Pitt stood up for the ending. Yeah, okay. It's just I think it deserves to be a little higher. Not Silence of the Lambs high, but you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with 91. I'm okay if it fluctuates up and down throughout the years, upcoming. But if it gets in the 80s, like low 80s, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. Okay, let's continue. Oh, we've been on for more than an hour. That's pretty good. All right, Scream at 77%. That's too high. A slasher movie so self-referential it disappears up its own. He's behind you. I agree. It's edgy and fun, but not brilliant, and it's no better than it would have been as just a straight horror film. Yep. Scream is not the reinvention of the slasher flick; it's the reinvention of the marketing of a slasher flick. Yep. Scream may be a cut above the gore fest that line the dimly lit back wall at your video store, but it's a far cry from genre classics like Halloween or even Craven's own Nightmare on Elm Street. Yep. I'm not even going to say that word and say the title anymore. Anytime I say Scream, I think it's too high. Shamrock. I was, sometimes you surprise me. It's far too low. Scream's a classic. It may be a classic, but it's awful. I think it's fucking awful. I do admit, and you guys know I've said this, and you've heard I said it, and I have to admit it. It has revitalized at the time it was released, the slasher genre. And for when it was being released, to have knocked out the competition during that month and continue is astounding. I'm not knocking for what it did, but the whole series and franchise as a whole. Scream is my favorite movie next to Halloween. It rules. Yep. Welshman says, good film, but 85% for me. Andrew says, Scream 2 better than the first. I still wouldn't put this movie over 85 of any of the films. Saw that coming, unlike Clarice. Nick says, agree with the 77. My man. Evil Ox says, around 80 to 90% for me. Fun reinvention of the genre. I ready to be abandoned. Don't worry about it. I don't think I can type out a quote for that, Frank. Yeah, Scream, Frank. Cody. Shamrock, you probably think I'm messing with you, but generally I think the first Scream is brilliant. It's the sequels I have an issue with. Oh, well, hold on. That's why I said, oh, come on. Maestro, what's going on, buddy? Agreed, Frank. Jet says, way too high. Too high. Fuck Scream. I agree. 77, not that bad, though. I like Scream. Keep it at your 75, right? Brett Patrick, Scream is fine. No, it's not. Okay, leave it like that. No, it's not. No. I'm going to be like this. You guys, anytime I see Scream or someone says you want to go see it, I'm going to be like a kid being, stuffed for vegetables with a fork for dinner. Open up, say, oh, I'm going to be like, no, want it. No. That's what I'm going to be. Darren says Frank could retire off super chats if he embraced Scream. Dislike it so much like kryptonite to frankly speaking in TSL. You'll never hear me talk about it. Well, except for Darren. Like I said, I'm halfway done with this whole, F Scream documentary that I'm doing. I got down to about an hour, 10 minutes. I think I should make it slower, make it smaller. And Tia put it on TSL. We're definitely going to go see part 7 because I have to for the channel. And I saw 6. Which one did I see? 6 and this one? No. 5, 6, 7. Fuck them. I don't even know. I don't even know which ones I saw in the theater. PCAT says, yes, glad others feel Scream isn't the end to be all for modern horror. Brett, that's about fine. Okay, continuing. Ugh. All right, what's next? I think we're into 97. I think this is the only one, 96, that was actually high. Yeah, this is the only horror movie that was at this level. So, yeah, that's right. That's the excuse I'm going. I have to for the channel. Listen, nobody wants to go to the doctor to get, routine exams. I have to. That's right. I put this movie as close to a colonoscopy as possible. You got to drink that shit liquid, and then you watch it, then you pass out, and you wake up feeling refreshed, saying, what happened and why am I hurting? 97. 82% for Scream 2. Here's my favorite critics. All that Scream 2 could do is load yet more icing on a cake already collapsing under the weight of its own overabundant decoration. Woohoo! All right, the film itself is stuck in a cycle of repetition or whatever, with slight variations. Oh, fucking parsed. Repetition. There we go. All right. The less ticklish bad joke of Scream 2 is that its self-referentiality has its limits. Again, I don't hate Scream, but there doesn't need to be 7 of them. K-Rock, high five. Put your hand up there. The evangelicals do it. Put your hand up to the screen. Feel the blessing. Shamrock says, Frank, didn't you take a day off to go watch the latest Scream? The last Scream? No, I was actually off. You want to talk to the guy who actually took off instead of taking off to see Halloween. I think it was Halloween Ends. Talk to the other guy in the chat here. I didn't take off. When the movie was over, I took off. No. Shamrock says, Scream 2 is serviceable, but rushed and needed more work on the script. And I think the script is fine. Scream 2 can bugger off. I'm not a fan. Reputation. Repetition. 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 I feel it. Feel it. Like a beer, sour ass. 82 is fine for what it is. Take it easy, Frank. All right. Are we done with Scream? All right. Evil Alex says Scream 2 is my favorite of the sequels. Good. Good for you guys. Listen, like I said before, I'm going to say on this channel, which I'm barely going to say anything about this franchise, except for that one little thing. And especially on TSL, where I've said it before, if you like this franchise and you like this series, dude, or dudeette, that's good for you. It's good for you. It's fine. All right, 1999. There was no 1998. This is the last movie of this series for the 90s. That should be close to 100%. Here it is, The Blair Witch Project. The viewer never glimpses anything more than the shadow of a clever movie. And where is the suspense? Where is the involvement? Where is the identification? I think this is actually quite high. I think Blair Witch, I think the Blair Witch Project is a little too high. For what it did for the found footage genre, I think, just like Scream, I think it opened up the doors. I think this one, now everyone could do found footage, and either you do it right or you do it wrong. And now I think this is would you guys consider this the granddaddy of them all? And Matthew here says, Matthew, if you're talking about this one, this is good where it's at. 86%, I think, is actually very generous. I think there should be more in the 70s. Texas Nacho, what's up? Welshman says, I've enjoyed this film more these days, but 75 to 80 is more fair score. Yeah, Blair Witch, Shamrock, Blair Witch Project equals shite. I give it a 1% for effort. Speaking of that, great camera work, not the plot. Andrew says, okay, now you're gonna hate me. 71 for this film. I think we're actually saying this should be lower. I did not get the hype. 25% from Jet. Dean says, I really enjoy Blair Witch, but it doesn't age too well. But its marketing was genius. Airborne says, Blair Witch, blah. Shaky camera falling. A woman running around, the snot coming from her nose, blah. 30%. Matt says, my father hyped this film up so much as the scariest film that when I finally watched it, I was disappointed. This hit hard when it came out, but rewatching, I don't know, 67. Andrew Adams says here, I admit I saw it without seeing a trailer or the hype, so it got to me. Good for you. I wish I could go in just blind into a movie, but I can't. I have a Blair Witch shirt on eBay when this came out. The jackass seller never sent it to me and took my money. Jesus. The directing, production, and marketing is 100% for pulling this movie off. Yep. Chester's in the 70s as well. Shamrock says, I actually watched this movie and fell asleep. How about Blair Witch 2? I still curse the day my friend begged me to watch this overrated movie. I think everybody now, this movie ended the decade of horror with a high. 86%. The marketing, whoever did the marketing of this movie should now be in charge of all marketing for every studio, because we all believe that this was a found footage movie based on real life events, and they kept the people in secret who starred in this movie. So you really would think they were missing or dead. And then all of a sudden they come out on the MTV Movie Awards, and then it killed everybody. Everybody was shocked. Everybody was thinking now that movie was such shit. Now it's shit because I thought something was real. Ladies and gentlemen, this movie is nothing. This movie is was it Ghost Adventures, where they go into a haunted house and they say, what's that? Do you hear creeping? What's my EMP fucking meter say? Oh, it's really high. I don't know what's going on. So I can't watch it ever again. To this day, my sister-in-law thinks this movie is real, even though you can find the actors and actress who was in it and it's still alive. She thinks it's real. She thinks the Blair Witch was an actual real story. Yeah, right here. Dean says it was sold as real. Yeah, it was. Then they shit all over it, all the momentum it had. Yep. Whenever I see runny noses, I think of this film. And Cody, if you remember in Scary Movie, they took that part where Sherry O'Terry was running away from the killer, and all that snot started coming out of her nose, making fun of it. I don't know. I think this is too low. I think this score is too high. I think this deserves to be for what it, like I said, for what it did for the genre. And it was the last great horror movie of the decade. You guys saying maybe a 60, 70? That's what I think. 60, 70. When it came out, I remember 2 theaters were sold out. I even snuck some kids in. I think I told the ticker taker I had 5 brothers and sisters, and none of them looked like me. And a lot of them were on dates. So I didn't want to get a kid shot down. I think the most I ever got out of this movie when I saw it in the theater was that I was 18, and the guy at the ticket taking said, "Are you with somebody? It's a rated R movie." And I said, "That's my brother. He's with me. They're all with me. These are their dates." And he's like, "Okay, as long as they're with an adult." And I didn't want to be that person that didn't get a date, didn't get this guy with this kid with his date into a movie. I was like, "Dude, I'll help you. Don't worry about it. I'll get your ticket." Yeah. You know what? I didn't want to. This would be horrible for them. Horrible. Yeah, 69, dude. I didn't put Audition in there because it wasn't widely released in the States. So these were just widely released movies in the States. Shamrock says nothing was more scary than the snot monster I seen draping over some fella's mustache while he was swimming in the swimming lane beside me. Still gives me nightmares. Oh, yeah. It just sits like glue. And we're going to end it on that note of bodily fluids. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was great. There's a list that really quick I have made. I'm going to put him on, it's right here. Of all the movies from the 90s that were below 50%. And there are a few. For example, let's think this. Let's just say this. Graveyard Shift from 1990, 0%. 0%. Let me see another one here. That's criminally low. There was tons of them. H6, 8%, right? Vampire in Brooklyn, 11. Thinner, 19. American Werewolf in Paris, 7, which I actually agree with. I still know what you did last summer, 7%. I mean, do they belong this low? That's to come. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for keeping me occupied. Darren's got something going on Saturday. He's continuing his tier with slashers from Darren. It's the 2020 to 2025, right? I think. And go check that out Saturday. That'll be on 3:30 Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 on the King's time or British time. And we got stuff happening next week. I mean, Darren and I always got something brewing on TSL and our own individual channels. But yeah, thanks guys for keeping me busy and keeping me occupied. And it's really nice that you guys are taking an interest in what I find interesting. And thanks for all my subs and all my subscribers. I don't tell anybody to like or subscribe because that's up to you. I don't tell anybody. It's like, I hate that. Because we know what it is. It's when you look at a plate of food that your grandma has made, and you push some of that stuff aside because it doesn't look appetizing, and you hear, "Eat it." You're like, "No, I don't like it." But if you subscribe, you subscribe. If you don't, and you just want to watch, that's fine with me too. But I hope you guys have a good upcoming weekend. Enjoy your hump day. And if you're ahead of us in the rest of the world, enjoy your Thursday. All right, everybody. Take care.